You know you are going to die. You have known this since you were a child. And that knowledge, that your life will end, shapes almost everything about how you live. But when did humans first understand this? Did ancient humans, sitting around fires 2 million years ago, know they would die? Did they lie awake at night knowing that one day they would simply stop existing? The answer is one of the most profound discoveries in all of human science. Let's start with what makes this question so extraordinary. Almost every animal on Earth has no awareness of its own mortality. A dog does not lie awake fearing death. A bird does not feel dread about the end of its life. As Jorge Luis Borges wrote, with the exception of mankind, all creatures are immortal, for they know nothing of death. Mortality awareness, the knowledge that you personally will die, is one of the rarest and most extraordinary cognitive abilities in the animal kingdom. Scientists call it mortality salience. And pinpointing when it first emerged in human ancestors is one of the most fascinating questions in all of paleontology. Now let's talk about what other animals actually understand about death. Chimpanzees, our closest relatives, show clear awareness that death is different from sleep. They have been observed carrying dead infants for days, refusing to leave them. Elephants return to the bones of deceased herd members, touching them gently with their trunks. But awareness that others die is not the same as knowing that you yourself will die. The second awareness requires the ability to project yourself into the future, to imagine a version of you that no longer exists. That is an extraordinarily sophisticated cognitive ability, and most animals cannot do it. Now let's look at the archaeological evidence, because buried in the ground is the answer. The oldest possible evidence of mortality awareness comes from Cima de los Huesos in northern Spain. Dating back approximately 430,000 years, the remains of at least 28 individuals were found deep inside a cave. These were not random deaths. The bodies appear to have been deliberately carried into this chamber. Found alongside them was a single hand axe, beautifully crafted, with no practical purpose in a burial chamber. It appears to have been placed there deliberately, as an offering, as a symbol. If these early humans were deliberately placing symbolic objects with their dead, they understood that death was different from life, that death was permanent, that the dead person was not sleeping, that something had ended. But did they know they themselves would die? That is the deeper question. The answer almost certainly comes from the moment ancient humans began watching others die. They watched strong hunters die. They watched mothers die. They watched children die. And at some point, a mind became sophisticated enough to make the connection. If it happened to them, it will happen to me. Researchers believe this realization, this specific moment of self-awareness about mortality, may have happened somewhere between 300,000 and 100,000 years ago. It coincides with an explosion of symbolic behavior in the archaeological record: red ochre markings, engraved shells, pierced ornaments worn as jewelry, deliberate burials with grave goods. Anthropologist Paul Pettit argues that symbolic behavior, making art, creating ornaments, burying the dead with objects, only emerges when a creature becomes aware of its own mortality. Because only a creature that knows it will die feels the need to leave something behind. Now let's talk about what knowing you will die actually does to a brain. Psychologists call it terror management theory. The theory proposes that awareness of mortality creates a deep existential terror in the human mind, and that almost everything humans do, culture, religion, achievement, legacy, love, is partly a response to that terror. Ancient humans felt this terror, and they found ways to manage it. The first and most powerful was community. Being part of something larger than yourself, a tribe, a family, a group, made the individual's death feel less final. The second was belief in something beyond death. Every ancient culture ever studied had some belief in an afterlife or continued existence after death, not because anyone proved it, but because the alternative, complete non-existence, was unbearable. Burial goods, tools, ornaments, food placed with the dead show that ancient humans genuinely believed the dead would need these things. That somewhere, the dead person was continuing. Different, but continuing. The third way ancient humans managed mortality awareness was through legacy, making things that would outlast them. Art, tools passed to children, stories that carried their memory forward. The cave paintings at Lascaux and Altamira were not just art. They were ancient humans refusing to disappear entirely, Someone sat in that cave 17,000 years ago and painted. And 17,000 years later, we are still seeing it. Their refusal to disappear completely worked. Now here is what makes this topic truly extraordinary. Mortality awareness may be the single most important cognitive development in all of human evolution. Because the moment a human knew they would die, they started asking why they were alive. That question, why am I alive, is the origin of religion, of philosophy, of science, of art. Every human system of meaning ever built started because someone realized they would not live forever. And ancient humans, sitting around fires hundreds of thousands of years ago, were already grappling with this, already asking what happens next, already burying their dead with care, already painting on cave walls as if to say, I was here. Remember me. Did ancient humans know they were going to die? The evidence says yes. And not just yes, but that they felt the weight of that knowledge as deeply as we do.